Hello, 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 and welcome into Iron Sharpens Iron by Bear Claw Media and brought to you by Top Notch Plumbing. Thousands of Northern Colorado families trust Top Notch Plumbing for one reason. They show up and fix it right. From cracked toilets and cold furnaces to root clogged drains, their repair and service team handles it daily. Grassroots in Greeley, not a franchise, and been voted best plumber 6 years in a row. Plumbing, HVAC, drain cleaning. When you need certainty, choose the team your neighbors have already picked. Top Notch Plumbing LLC. Now, as always, joined by Zach Bloch, Quinn Denker. Fellas, how we doing?
Man, I'm just excited to see Top Notch go for 7 years in a row.
100%, bro.
That's all I'm here for.
Got to get your votes in. The Greeley Tribune, best of Greeley.
100%.
So yeah, Top Notch Plumbing cannot recommend those guys enough. Adrian's awesome. Do great work. So
we love you, Adrian.
So it's been it actually hasn't been a minute since we've recorded here, sitting here Wednesday morning, but couple big wins, and it felt a little bit different where they were close games, especially that Idaho State game, but we weren't like sweating to the absolute end. You know, we're able to kind of take a deep breath maybe with a minute left to go. So how did that like last weekend trip kind of treat you guys?
Oh, it was great. It was great to be able to go out there and get a couple wins on the road and stack four in a row now. Yeah, I was excited for how, my teammates played and the energy that we brought to the game every single game, and, being able to win, comfortably a little bit like towards the end. It's a great feeling because we've been in so many close games.
So many.
So it was nice to get a little bit of a break down the stretch. So
yeah, it almost felt foreign.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, man, we haven't been in a close game like this or a non-close game like this in so long.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool just to be able to, just like Zach said, be in a 14-point game, an 8-point game or whatever it was. And it was just like, it felt great. We hadn't been in one of those in a while. So I was like, I almost, you almost forget how to handle those fucking games a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was fun.
Okay, so how as vague as I can be, how does it feel different at all than the last month? Vibes around the program, I'm sure, higher, but does it feel like you're playing looser, or is it just kind of like you guys have kind of said the whole time? Everybody else was way more worried about it than we were, but it's got maybe a little bit of a weight lifted off of your shoulders.
I think I've been loving, Zach said it best when he introduced, like, he loves how well our teammates have been playing. I think just me taking a step back and like just watching, it's been so fun to just be a part of this team in the last like couple games, just because we've been guarding, like just playing our butts off on defense and grinding out these games. Like we won 2 of those games pretty ugly, like the Ewash game and then this last Idaho State game were ugly wins. Like offensively, not really, like, but we were missing shots. There were a bunch of crazy like foul call, non-foul call kind of things. So it was just kind of an ugly offensive game, but defensively we were kind of grinding it out and made the winning plays down the stretch that we hadn't been doing a month before. And we were just making so many winning plays that ended up giving us extra possessions to go win the game.
Okay. It's felt like all season it starts on defense. Defense leads to you guys running out in transition, and that seems to be like when the team takes off.
Yeah.
So it's not like trying to figure that out, but what is it? Is it an effort thing? Not to say that you weren't like giving it all in the past. Is it a really locking into the scout like we had talked about, or what kind of contributes to really locking in on that defensive end?
I think it's just a connectiveness that we've had these past couple of weeks. Connectivity starts off the floor, and when we had our player meeting or whatever it was, like we were able to get to know each other deeper on a more personal level that allowed it to translate to the court, and make sure that we're holding each other accountable, and it makes you like play even harder when you're playing for the guy next to you, and somebody has your back. There's more trust out on the court that everybody's going to be doing their jobs because they care about it, like, and they care about you, right? They want you to succeed. So, if you get beat, they're going to step up and help you. Like Egan had an incredible block against Idaho State where he comes through just like Superman swats it out of the air and then breaks his face. Well, and like bleeding all over the court. Like, but that's like what we hadn't had the past, when we're in that losing stretch, we didn't have any of that. And I think everybody kind of just changed their focus and what was actually important to them on the court, and it's led to wins.
Okay, yeah, and that Egan moment was awesome. I assume that's a couple stitches, all good to go for this
sure.
week.
Yeah.
Okay. Literally leaving blood, sweat, and tears out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even to that point, we've seen huge defensive, like a bunch of guys on the team, like from after the player meeting, have really taken defense a part of their persona and who they are on the and it's helped us immensely. Egan being one of them. Like during that game, I don't know if he got scored on in the post 101. I don't know if it happened just because he's such a big human, and he was really giving it a conscious effort just to beat people with his feet and then try to have to finish over that massive creature. It's hard. But then the effort plays he was making, blocking stuff off the backboard. Vince has been huge.
Yeah.
He's been locking up other teams like primary ball handlers. He hasn't been getting screened at all. And he's taken it personally, and it's helped us immensely because then he's super fast and quick. And when he gets the ball, he can get out and transition and do his thing like he did in Idaho State. Ibu has really grown in like his ability to resist the post. Like I thought Idaho State has a lot of good post players. None of them were really scoring on him in the post at all. And he's just like Ibu's a big physical guy who cares a lot.
Yeah.
And he's so smart and detailed. And man, like we like watching back on film, it was like, okay, yeah, Ibu was locking up out there and helping everybody else. And he made a lot of winning plays in that game too.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the next like handful of things I have all kind of tie into peaking at the right moment. But kind of starting, it feels like we talked about Ring a bit last week. Ring's really come into his own.
Yeah.
And it's, early in the season, it's easy from the outside to be like kind of, it looks discombobulated what's going on. But then from everything I understand, like this offense isn't super easy to pick up. And especially for some younger transfers in their first year, it takes some time to really get not an idea, but fully be comfortable with the system. Yeah. And so how much of that do you think has kind of come into the last 2 weeks of it feels like people are more comfortable with everything that's going on?
I think everybody's getting more comfortable. I mean, there's also like just in general, you kind of got to find your footing in college basketball. Like that's just like a transition that everybody has to make, and it takes time. Like you said, to get comfortable, and especially in a system where you're trying to figure out, where am I going to be most successful? Where can I play to my strengths? And Coach Smiley does a great job of, helping us out and putting us in positions where we're going to be successful. And then it comes down to, are you going to buy into it, and are you going to trust the process with it? And all the guys on the team have.
I think another wrinkle too that young guys have will figure out, and that like all of our team is starting to figure it out, is just because you have success doing one thing in our offense in one game doesn't mean you're going to have the same opportunity in the next, depending on how each team guards you. For example, like Weber State, they switch everything. And so like you're pick your player, like certain situations, like Ibu had a bunch of threes in that game, right? Because they were kind of like screwing up switches sometimes, and he was able to get free, get loose, and he could have a three. Well, Idaho State was full denying like his snaps and stuff, and wasn't allowing him to get these wide open threes. So now he's gonna have to drive it and punch it more. Those are different looks and different kind of things. So as like a young guy, it's kind of hard to be like every single game you're having to adjust depending on how the team is adjusting to you. So just another caveat along with already having to figure out our offense. How can you continue to be successful in the offense no matter how the other team is guarding you?
I don't want to say do you think that's unique to UNC, but to have like the wrinkles in the offense where one game Ibu can be taking 6 threes and making all of them basically, and then the next game maybe he needs to work a little bit more out of the post, a little bit more driving, and he has like really good footwork. It feels like that little fadeaway that he gets himself to.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite one.
Is that something that you guys kind of not preach, but it's like not every offense has these wrinkles to like build on when people take one thing away?
I don't think you're wrong. I think there are so many different types of ways to play basketball. A lot of different teams have certain systems and offenses they really like. I really like our offense because it's more player dependent than it is system dependent. Like it's not like we run a bunch of set actions where we're trying to get a designated shot. We do have a couple, but most of our stuff is free flowing actions where we're just kind of inserting the ball into an area and then telling our guys to go make a play out of it. So that in that you're allowing the players to play depending on the set like defense. Other systems will play where everything is designated to try to get a certain look, a second look, and a third look. And sometimes, like if one team's able to figure that out and is like plays a certain defense that takes away all three, then you're kind of cooked. Because then at that point, players got to go make plays, and if players aren't used to going and making those plays when they don't get first, second, or third look, then they're kind of like, okay, I don't know what I do here. And so there are some teams in our conference and some teams like out in the country that play at like a certain style where they're like they recruit a certain type of guy that's kind of just like a one trick pony, and then their whole system is predicated on trying to get those guys certain types of shots. Like that's really efficient, but it's really hard to obtain. And you got to be really elite at all the little things in order to obtain that, especially when you're playing against a defense that scouted you out so hard. So yeah, I think it's to answer. I honestly forgot what your question was.
I think you answered
Okay,
it.
cool.
No, that's better than whatever my question was anyway. But do you guys think that's kind of why a program like UNC is able to churn out so many pros compared to other Big Sky and even bigger conference schools?
For sure. I mean, you look at all the guys that are pros like Matt, Dalen, Bodie, Dalton, like all those guys were able to flourish in this system because Coach Smiley puts them in positions to be successful and then lets them be them. Right. I think there's a lot of teams and a lot of parts of the country that are just like they minimize who players can be.
Mm.
And I feel like Coach Smiley maximizes who we can be as players.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were kind of talking a bit off before we started recording. I've been down Ken Palm Wikipedia rabbit holes of like coaches who've had great seasons at mid majors, and a lot of the time it is like this year they go 30-5, lose one conference game, make the tournament but are bounced the first round, or miss the tournament. Then a year or two later, they go 22-13, and it's Sweet 16 run. So how important is it to like withstand kind of the ebbs and flows of the season and get to the point where you are peaking in March during that conference tournament at the right time?
It's super important.
It's huge.
Yeah. I mean, that's been the goal of this team this whole year is we want to go play in March Madness, right? I mean, so like when we're going through that stretch of not winning games, like we're not panicked because we know that's not our end goal, right? Our end goal is not like, of course we want to win the regular season too. Like that's important. That's something we were striving for as well. But that's not our end goal. Our end goal is to go to March Madness. And so that's what we're building towards every single day is like, Q always talks about our process being process based. And the process is leading up to the end product of being great when it comes to March.
Yeah, 100%. I think too, just like the logistics of peaking at the right time. Like think about all the different teams that have. I think the best prime example I think of when I think of this kind of thing was first year when Coach Logie became the coach at Montana State. Back when I was at Idaho, you were a junior, and I think they finished like fifth or sixth in conference or something. It really got hot the last 3 games of the season. Because I remember they were our road trip.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing super well, got really hot. They
started playing that one big off the bench.
Yes,
and it was tough.
That was super tough.
Yeah,
and he was good. And they kind of opened up the floor for them. Their bench guys really started stepping up. But then they had just had a lot of shot makers that were making shots. I remember Patterson and Garaki were not missing.
Yeah,
and then they had those two tough guards. I forget their names, but they were both good.
I remember Jed was hooping too.
Yeah, and Jed come up, he was hooping, and so like they had all these guys that all just kind of really got good at the very end. And man, then they were just on a burner.
Oh, Rob Ford.
Yeah, Rob Ford, Rob Ward, and Eddie Turner. Yeah. They all just got on a burner in the tournament and like would not miss a three. They would go in and smack Montana in the championship and end up going to March Madness and doing really well. Like that's like the epitome of what we're talking about too. Because that season too, Eastern Washington was cooking. They were cooking everybody and were really good.
Great. Yeah.
But then what happens? They lose first round to Sac State. And so it was just like it's kind of an anomaly, but it's so real because you don't want to get comfortable If you're at the top and you're just so used to winning all the time, like you get comfortable and you ease up. And I kind of feel like that's what happened to us a little bit was we just beat CU and we're like, man, like what can happen to us now? And then all of a sudden we get punched in the mouth by Montana State. And then that led to what it was, really exposing us for what hadn't grown from and improved on. And we are so blessed that happened to us when it happened to us. Like obviously, like we would have rather that happened like in non-con or something, but it happened to us at that time, and we're just blessed it wasn't at the end of the season. Because if it's the end of the season, that's how our season ends. Mm-hmm. When now we're on a 4-game win streak, trying to make it 6 this week, and we have an opportunity to continue to grow, and we don't even think we're playing well yet, too. Because like we said, with 2 of these last 4 wins were ugly. So, and when was the last time we blew out a team by 20 points? So we're just trying to continue to improve and grow, and hopefully we can continue to hit these strides towards the end of the season in Big Sky tournament play.
I think that kind of goes into my next thing is the Big Sky is really good this year. Mm-hmm. Like it's Ken Pom has it as 16th, the 16th ranked conference, which is the best it's been since 2000, mm-hmm. Ahead of like schools that are playing FBS football and Rutgers is 1 spot ahead of you guys in the Ken Pom rankings. But do you notice a difference this year? I don't know if there's really a question to the back end of this statement, but how good is the Big Sky Conference this year? It feels like maybe in years past with the talent you have could have eked out a win or 2 during that losing streak, but there's just the level of competition every night just feels so high this year.
Yeah, you look at, how the games have gone this year, it's like anybody can win on any given night. So I think in years past, there's been more separation than there is this year. Every single team, is really good. And so it makes it kind of fun because, you have to bring your best every single time you step on the floor because, like I said, any given night, anybody can beat you. So.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like Zach said, there's not as much separation because usually the last couple of years it's been like a couple teams at the top and then a bunch of teams in the middle and then a couple teams on the bottom. Well, I feel like this year it's not like that at all. Yeah. Like even with like Portland State, who has an insane record and they've been playing really well, they're kind of us in preseason. I feel like because all of their games the last couple have been wins by 2 or 3 points. And so they're kind of like going through it too, and they're having to compete their butts off and play really hard and stuff. Now that's a fantastic team. They're really good, but still, like they're winning all these games by 2 or 3 points. And then, from then on, they're like right now there's a 5-way tie for 4th, or something crazy like that. And then all the teams that are below that are like 1 game back. So it's like Zach said, and it's any game can be anybody's day. It's just you got to show up and play and see who's got it.
And this is kind of pivoting just a bit, but when you're facing that level of competition every night, I imagine it's tough it's probably like nice, as like you guys had said towards the end of really that Weber game, you're like, it's nice to kind of take a deep breath and maybe enjoy it. But does that add like pressure that like if we don't win this one, we don't have like a gimme down the stretch? I don't even want to say gimme because none of them are, but does that even like enter your guys' minds at all?
I don't think so.
Honestly, not.
Yeah.
I think when we went through our losing stretch, we lost all opportunity to actually feel that way. So yeah, we're just kind of at this point, we're just like, okay, we're not really going to focus on outcomes. How good can we possibly get before the Big Sky tournament starts? And wins will be a byproduct of how good we can be.
Okay. And you mentioned like never felt like the team lost confidence at all through that stretch. This one's, I guess, more Zach. It feels like you've been in a bit of a shooting slump. Correct me if you don't feel that way. But how do you kind of does that change your mindset? Do you think about it? It feels like everybody around you is probably like, just keep getting them up, man. They're gonna go in. Mm-hmm. Or how do you kind of approach that?
I mean, dude, I've been in so many stretches where I haven't made shots in my life. Like it's part of the game. It's part of basketball, and I've been blessed to be able to make a lot of shots this year, and I believe I'm going to make a lot more shots this year. I go through stretches where shots don't go in. I don't lose any confidence. It's just part of the game, right? And I think I learned a lot from last year about that and how to grow from that. And, reading the book like Inner Game of Tennis, where you're not putting emphasis on whether the shot goes in or not. It's just, if it's a miss, it's a miss. If it's a make, it's a make. So you're not riding these highs and lows of, oh, make is good, miss is bad. You're just like, okay, did I shoot the right shot? Right. That's what matters to me. Did I shoot it with confidence? Did I let it go? In years past, I'll take the Weber State game, for example. Like there was a wide open three, airballed it, right? In years past, I'm not making that next one. I come down, Quinn snaps it to me on the wing.
Stupid play they made.
And I make the shot. But it's like, that's because I'm not allowing these, makes or misses to affect my confidence in how I play the game.
To add on to that too, like another thing that it needs to be understood too is it's not like, it's one thing if he's going through like a little shooting thing where he's just getting a bunch of wide open shots and they're getting missed. If you go back and watch the film and stuff, it doesn't matter if he missed 4 in a row. They're still trying to face guard him and deny him on every single snap, every single time in transition. It opens up ring for a dunk. I promise you, go look at clips. If Zach's running the wing for a 3, there will be dudes. I remember a specific play against Idaho where he had just hit one from super deep and we're in transition and he's running the right wing. And their 2 guards in the back are so concerned about who's going to get out to Zach Bloch that they didn't even see Ring running the rim for a dunk. And so like, that's the effect of Zach too, is like, yeah, he may miss a couple, but it's because for him, like a good shot is when the hand isn't up here and it's just in front of your face, And so that's like, it's, when you shoot as high difficult threes that we want him to shoot as he does, like, you'll go through little phases too, where all you need to see is one go down, then it rains and pours from there.
That's a great point, because the gravity that just your shooting ability brings has to open so many things up.
Range too, and it really helps our offense.
Is that ever weird when you do get an open one? Do you ever like take an extra beat and think about it?
It has to be.
I would prefer not to be open. I think, I feel like in Eastern Washington game, I had so many open ones, and I was talking to my trainer after. He was like, "Dude, I was surprised you missed a lot of those. Like you're just wide open." I was like, "Yeah, it just sometimes it happens like that, but sometimes I wish like there was a hand in my face."
Yeah, it's got to be weird when like 80% of your threes are just like contested, or you have some dude just sprinting out at you as hard as he can, and then because it's almost like a rhythm thing. Like you catch it and you're like just so focused on your rhythm and mechanics while you have this dude running at you that's all you're focusing on is rhythm. While like when you get wide open, you're like, okay, this is wide open. I got to knock this down. And then there's like other things come into it, but it's
Does you talk about the product not affecting the next one? Does kind of on the front end, I think we talked about it either over the summer or the beginning of Iron Sharpens Iron. Was it a goal you had this season was to have your eyes at the rim basically when you caught the ball to shoot? Do you think like focusing on that process also kind of makes whether or not it goes in not moot, but like you don't think so much about that?
For sure. I think because if you're focusing just on like, oh, I gotta make the shot instead of like the process, okay, like I'm low, I'm loaded down, ready to shoot. Like my eyes are on the rim. I'm just focusing on the basket, and wherever the ball goes, like that's up to God. Like I just look at the rim and I shoot the ball. But that's definitely, you just gotta, I feel like having those little breakdowns, especially like because in the game you can't focus on, I feel like it's important as a shooter to have like a checklist of like different things that you do in your shot that you can focus on when you're practicing. So like there'll
100%.
be different things like low base, shoulders down, like wrists cocked back, hold your follow through, spread your fingers on the ball, just guide hands straight, like different things like that you can kind of go through when you're practicing or shooting around or anything like that. But when you get into the game, it can only be like 1 or 2 things that you're focusing on. Okay, eyes on the rim, and I'm down ready to shoot. Like those are you have to minimize what you're thinking about in the game, but as you're in your preparation and practice time, when there's time to like think about it, you can go through your checklist.
I think that it's also funny. I bet if I look, I'm imagine you're still over 40% for the season, and probably not far from that in conference. So like a slump is very relative in this sense, but that's fascinating because it makes a lot of sense though. And you both kind of talked about a couple trying to extend that win streak to 6 this week. I feel like maybe we can talk about both of these games since you've seen both teams before now. Sac State coming to town tomorrow night. They're also probably the other kind of hottest team in the conference with you guys. Is there what's the outlook heading into that one? Is there like any extra motivation dropping that one that you probably felt like you shouldn't have on the road, or is it kind of a business as usual approach?
I think the political answer to say is that it's a business approach, but that's not my answer.
Out.
Yeah, no, I think for us there's definitely motivation for two reasons. One, we dropped that game in a fashion that sucked. Like we were up 18 with 8 minutes to play and we lost in overtime. And I just think like we definitely have something for them. Like it's, they're a really great team. They got great players. It's going to be a fun, exciting game, but we want to defend home court. We're excited to be back at the bank. It's going to be a packed out crowd tomorrow. We're really excited about it. So it's just going to be important to us to go get it done in front of our packed crowd.
Okay. And is Sac State, it feels, again, I could be way off base here. It feels like they're kind of a roll the ball out. Like we have the talent, let's roll the ball out and go play. Is that maybe less predictable than a team where I think you talked in the past about Idaho running a lot of sets, a really complicated, like varied offense. Is it almost harder at sometimes to guard a team that doesn't run a lot because it's you maybe don't really know what to expect, or do you look at the tendencies of those players and you still have an idea of probably what's coming?
I think it's harder on the ball and it's easier off the ball. I think like when you're playing a team I'll use Idaho State, for example. They're a hard team to guard off the ball just because they run so many different actions and there's so many, we call it window dressing, just different kind of actions they're running dummy just to set up one main action. That on the ball, because like they're a kind of team too where they're trying to get a set action and shot. So like when it's just one-on-one stuff, you kind of know what they're going to try to do. And so like you can guard that easier, but off the ball it's harder. Sac State, their players are really talented. They got two like really good guards and a bunch of good shooters and different guys that are all just really aggressive. And that's harder to guard on the ball because you don't really know what they're going to do. Like you can say like, okay, yeah, they're going to drive, but then all of a sudden they may pull a 40-footer and there's no way to really prepare for that. So it's freeing that it's just like, okay, I'm just going to go out here and play basketball. Like I'm not going to think, okay, he likes to drive right-handed or he likes to shoot the three going to the left. Just guard the ball, and then the rest of us are also thinking the same thing, which is easier for us because all of us are just going to be in the gaps. We're loaded up, ready to play defense, and just to help our guy who's on an island right now because we're going to make the offense think that he's on an island, but he's not really on an island. So.
And then moving to Saturday, Portland State. The thing that kind of jumped out from that one is they're just full of athletes, and big matchup. Probably a game you're going to play a game like this in the conference tournament if you get to the point you want to get to. So what's kind of the approach in that one? I know you guys switched to a zone at the end of that game. I don't know if is not to give anything away. You probably haven't even gotten to the scout for this one, but what does Portland State do well?
They do a lot of things well. They have their four-man's a killer. He's front runner for player of the year right now, probably in the conference. So, we're going to be keyed in on him. But I think the last time that we played them, we struggled with we had a lot of turnovers in that game, if I remember correctly, like especially in the first half. So, emphasis is going to be taking care of the ball. Defensively, I thought we played pretty well until we got down late when we made some, key mistakes. I know I got split on a post up, gave up an and one. Just little things like that we need to clean up for this next game. And then, Coach Smiley will get us right on the game plan and everything, any changes he wants to make, because we haven't gotten there yet. But, we're coming in, like you said, this is a team we're going to have to beat in the tournament, right? So we're going in with that, with the end in mind.
I imagine with what Smiley said, you've talked a little bit about like the Thursday versus Saturday, and it does seem like you guys play a little better in those Thursdays. Does it feel any different playing on a Thursday versus a Saturday? Maybe that Saturday game's at 2 p.m. instead of 7, but is that something that really enters your mind until you kind of focus on it, or is the quick scout? I feel like a lot of things that can go into that.
I think scout wise, we're always going to be prepared. I don't feel like there's really any difference between a Thursday and a Saturday in terms of scout. I think the only difference is really your body. Like it's just how rested are you? It's a fight to be rested. Usually when you're on the road, it's harder. Just because that Friday you don't get to sleep in, you don't get to be in your own bed, you don't get to eat and do all that kind of stuff like the way you want to, because you're on a flight at 6 o'clock in the morning just trying to get to the next place. And so it's a hard, and honestly, our road trip too is one of the hardest ones because like you're flying into Phoenix and you're driving 2 hours to get to Flagstaff, and then you'll get to Flagstaff, play the game, wake up in the morning in elevation, drive all the way back to Phoenix, fly into Denver, drive an hour and a half or hour, whatever it is, from Denver to Greeley, and then practice. So it's a long, like, kind of gruesome trip, and where you're not really getting a whole lot of rest and sleep, sitting on a bus the whole time. And so, we're going to try to use that advantage to the best we possibly can, because it's a real thing.
Was that y'all's like least favorite one when you were
sure.
at Idaho?
For sure.
Really?
By far and away. Yeah.
Did you play us second?
We played you guys first.
That's probably even worse.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
NAU second's got to be worse.
Yeah.
Because NAU's at like 7,000, right?
Yeah.
That's like the highest.
It's the highest elevation in the.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like top 3 in the country or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Wyoming is 1, and then someone else is 2, and they're 3, I think. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right.
It sounds right enough to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, did you make it a point to stun on us today, Quinn?
Stun on us? What am I doing?
You came fitted, bro.
Bro, it's just I got out the shower and threw some stuff on.
Just some light. Just threw some light on.
Bro, I just don't even know what you mean like that. No.
I don't know how widespread this was, but the first thing I always think of is there's an old picture of Tim Duncan in like enormous jeans. And like a comment that I saw was like, a man with that much room in his britches ain't got time to be worried about anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we pivot off of that, but I wanted to drop that reference.
You just wanted to drop some ball knowledge. I love it. You're all about the quotes. I love it.
Yeah. I was doing a little bit more digging into the key to success is not trying. Yeah. And 100%. I don't know which one you said. Like I think that's an actual quote, but just shortened.
It is an actual quote, just shortened. Yeah.
But then kind of. Might as well pivot to Yu-Gi-Oh because I don't know where else we would really go from here. But we're talking I'm pointing to a bunch of stuff that's off camera, so anybody watching or listening, just trust me, it's here. We were talking about the I can't remember the movie, but the Studio Ghibli poster, since it's in Japanese. And we were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh this morning.
Dude, it's my childhood.
Same. Like I probably still have like a shoebox full of old Yu-Gi-Oh cards at my parents' house back home.
So y'all was Yu-Gi-Oh over like Pokemon?
See, I loved the Pokemon like video games, but I was Yu-Gi-Oh. I never really had Pokemon cards.
Really?
I was Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm not even joking with you. I have over 10,000 Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like, it's bad.
What in the world? I've never even seen. I don't even know what Yu-Gi-Oh is.
Do you know Jalen Zeno?
Yeah.
Shout out Zeno, dude. I love you, man. Me and Zeno, when we were in prep school, this is one of my best friends, and me, Zach, and Jalen all went on a vacation was it summer?
Yeah.
In San Diego. And but Zeno and I, during prep school, we collected these damn cards, and we were like, it was during COVID, during prep school, and we're like, man, like, because we both loved Yu-Gi-Oh growing up. Like, I used to have the CDs, and I'd put them in the CD player, and I'd watch all the different seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh growing up, and just because my parents were going to get me an iPad. Thank goodness. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for not making me an iPad kid.
Shoot, I had an iPad, boy.
But no. So it was COVID. We were bored. We're like, man, like, what are we going to do during COVID? We're in prep school right now, literally just playing basketball, not doing school, and we find this game online. It's called Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, and it's a phone game. Boy, we got so addicted to this dang phone game. I was so addicted to this phone game. I got to top 200 in the world by the time I was done with this dang phone game. I was grinding my butt off almost as much as I was playing basketball. And I'm not even going to say how much money I actually spent on that phone game. It's pretty despicable. But I just remember driving to Target, buying a $20 iTunes gift card, and I did that pretty frequently. Yeah. Just because I got to stay up with the meta, So
That's fire.
yeah, dude.
So are you taking Yu-Gi-Oh or Brawl Stars?
I'm taking Yu-Gi-Oh every day of the week. Like, I loved Brawl Stars, don't get me wrong. And I did also spend some coin on that also. but Yu-Gi-Oh, bro, that's nostalgia at its best. It's like Beyblade. You remember Beyblade?
Yeah, I never even
You never touched Beyblade? Man, I love that.
I had maybe one Beyblade in my lifetime.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I also had a lot of Beyblade. Beyblade, Bakugan, the whole deal.
Bakugan, that's one I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, bro.
What was your like game growing up?
In that realm, Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely.
Yeah.
I played more like sports video games.
Right.
Were kind of my, and they don't make these anymore, and I would still buy the hell out of them. Like, just video games based off of movies.
Oh yeah.
Like I had the open season video game, Madagascar.
Dude.
Like,
So
yeah, that one was fire.
Right. Okay. Ready for put-ons. So I got this thing maybe like, when did I get it? 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, something like that.
3 weeks ago, I got this thing called. I've been seeing these TikTok ads for this thing called a retro gamer. Well, it's called the R36S, and it looks like an old Game Boy. And so I was like, okay, it advertises having 15,000 games on it and all this whole deal. And I'm like, okay, there's no way this is real, right? I thought it was a scam, but I was like, you know what? I found one on TikTok Shop called the Woods WUDS R36S Gamer, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get it, and I don't care. I'll spend the 40. If it's a scam, it's a scam. Whatever. I want to try it. So I got it. Dude, it's one of the greatest things I've ever purchased in my life. I was playing 1995 Madden football on the bus the other day. Like, I was playing FIFA from 2007. I was playing open season. Like, I've got the Madagascar game. I've got, man, you could play Dora the Explorer video game if you want to. It's got every single Game Boy, DS, Sega, like every single, it's got 15,000 legitimate games on it. And so I'm playing this thing in film, and Smiley comes up to me and goes, "What you got?" And I told him about it, and I was showing him the retro gamer, and he goes, "Got an Amazon gift card for Christmas. I'm going to be getting myself one." Then he did right there. He went on Amazon, bought himself a retro gamer. I texted him yesterday. I'm like, "Hey, Smiles, how's the retro gamer? Did it work?" And he goes, his son Madden. He goes, "Freaking Madden, man, already stole it from me." He goes, I have to go buy him one so I can get mine back. He was like, "Yeah, dude, I was playing like old Frogger, like different kind of games on it last time." I'm like, "Oh, that's the best." So I'm telling you, dude, you should actually invest in this thing.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's huge.
I'm probably dating myself because instead of an iPad kid, I had a Game Boy Advance.
Oh.
And that's what I would like break out at the dinner table.
They have all the Game Boy Advance games on there. Literally every single one that ever came out. There's over 3,000 Game Boy Advance games on this thing.
That's crazy. You're gonna have to send me a link to that one because
you.
I see like similar things, and that one was only $40.
$40.
That's crazy.
No.
That can't be legal, but we'll just cut this part if it's not legal.
TikTok Shop, man. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I guess the Madagascar game, like the SpongeBob
like the
game.
the
Dude,
Incredible
I love
games.
the SpongeBob games.
Yes.
Bro, I haven't played
They have
those though.
Incredibles?
They have all of them. There's like 4 of the Incredible games.
Well, that's $50 down the drain.
Yeah, dude. I've been on that new Super Mario Bros. Like
That's fire.
a ton, like the old DS games.
They have
and stuff.
like them. I think I had you look up. I used to play that Epic Yarn Kirby.
They did
on
not
the
have.
Wii.
They did
That
not
was
have
so
Epic Yarn.
fire.
They did
I
not
wish
have
they
Epic
had
Yarn.
that.
They have old GTA though,
Ooh.
like GTA Chinatown.
Yeah.
They have some good stuff.
Okay. Did either of you play the Midnight Club games?
Mm-mm.
Oh, like they were Rockstar's like Need for Speed.
Oh yeah.
But I guess my last point on Yu-Gi-Oh before we
Hit me.
probably tie it up is, again, I'm dating myself. My first purchase that I was like 5, 6 maybe, and I really wanted one of those, like, what are they called? The Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh yeah, Quinn.
Like the battle.
No, it's gonna. Is this a gauntlet? No.
I don't.
Dual disc.
The dual disc, yes.
Yeah, come on.
But like it's like it goes on your arm, and it's like
the
what
dual
they
disc.
yeah. And there was it was
So
like
fire.
$25 at Kmart or Target or wherever.
So
and
smart.
I think I asked for like enough times that my parents were like, no, but like if you save up, you can do stuff around the house. Like I probably did nothing, and they, after a couple weeks, gave me $25 to buy it.
So awesome.
It was the coolest thing, and then I went to use it once, and like I was so small, like it was too heavy.
It was too heavy.
I couldn't, like, after using it for like 45 seconds, my arm was just beat. But still a great purchase. I hope that's sitting in a closet somewhere.
What's your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card of all time?
Oh, was it I want to, like, I feel like Blue Eyes White Dragon's the one coming to mind, but that's just a lame answer.
Though. I like it.
What was I can't think of the name where you had to get the 5 pieces to create
Exodia. Yeah.
That one, I think I had like one friend who had 1 piece.
Yeah, I had 2 pieces. That's it though. My buddy Jalen had all 5.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. Zeno, man. God, he had all 5. That legend.
Because like Yu-Gi-Oh's still going strong.
Yeah. Like, they're still coming out with new shows and new cards, and it's still like, because I like am still subscripted like to a lot of the stuff. I haven't played it in forever, but I still have like all the YouTube subscriptions and stuff, and there's still like tournaments going on every day, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I had a roommate who would drive to like Longmont when we were in school and play Yu-Gi-Oh, but you have to like.
You actually have to grind at it.
And you have to have some money too, 100%. Don't you? Like,
because you always got to be buying the new card that like kind of keeps update with the like what's working, because it's kind of like basketball, honestly. Like once like something's working a little while, then they'll be like, okay, now we got to do this. It's kind of like the whole charge thing. You know how like charges for a while were really good, like people wanted to take charges all the time. Well, then they switched rules to eliminate charges, and then like that's how Yu-Gi-Oh is. Like a certain type of meta will work for a little while, and then they'll come out with a new rule or just new cards that combat that. So then there's a new meta to combat the combat, and it's stupid. But and I spend way too much money on it.
Hey, you gotta spend money on something.
100%.
All right. Well, 12 minutes. That's how fast a small leak can become a big mess. Call the crew Greeley Trust Top-Notch Plumbing, again awarded Best Plumber 6 years in a row. Plumbing, HVAC, drain cleaning, Top-Notch Plumbing, LLC.com. And that will bring us into the Splash Disciples segment. Oh, we're running a little long, so I apologize once again, fellas. But that Yu-Gi-Oh talk was just too good to cut off.
Way too good. 100%.
So I'll kick it over to you. What do you have for us here today?
You know, I think we've been having a lot of conversations with people recently about like how Christ transforms you. Like the whole idea of transformation. Do you have those verses pulled up?
I can pull them up.
Yeah, just pull them up and read the second one on the first.
So 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone, the new is here."
So that's an awesome verse because it kind of illustrates this idea of once I accept Christ into my life, I'm transformed. Now that's an idea that I think a lot of people misinterpret. We've been talking to some people, some teammates, some friends, whatever, that have like, because it's been awesome. A lot of like I feel like our like this doing our show, our Bible study, Mosaic Church, and just a lot of people in our cohorts and area have been accepting Christ into their life recently. It's been a beautiful thing for us to see. And you know, I just saw the other day Zach was with one of our teammates, and right before one of our games, and one of our teammates accepted Christ into his life, and it was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. But at the same time, you got to understand that when you do accept Christ into your life, it's not an automatic transformation. Now, this verse, it's a part of a long story. So if you just take it out of context, you're like, okay, as soon as I accept Christ in my life, I'm transformed. Well, why don't I feel transformed? That's because you have to row and then God will steer, right? There's a bunch of, you have to continue to go into your word every single day, make it a habit, and God will transform you through your own efforts. Like once you're continuing to go to him for everything, every time you rely on him, he will just continue to just like change your brain in ways that maybe those things that held you back or were like, if I continue to make that, like I'll use swearing, for example, because that's an area of my life where I've struggled is trying to tame my tongue. You know, every single time, like it's something I pray about constantly and I'm trying to fix because it's a habit that I've had for so long that I'm like, okay, if I really want to be the person I say I am, I can't just be speaking like this all the time. So I think like the more I pray about it, the more I work, the more I read about the importance of taming the tongue. And Proverbs a million times over talks about taming the tongue. So I'm constantly reading that, taking notes on it, trying to apply it to my life. And I notice now the more I've been praying about it, every single time, like in a certain phrase, I'll go to like say something that normally would end in a swear word, or like a swear word would be involved in it. Then I'll catch myself and be like, whoa, like before I would have never caught myself. Before I would have just naturally free flowed into that sentence. And I'm not perfect yet. I still swear and I still have issues and I'm still growing. But that's an area of my life, for example, like that he's grown immensely. Like I haven't heard him swear in eons. And so like that's like everyone's kind of got their own things. What do you think?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, like you were saying, sanctification is a process. And I think that verse also speaks to, you know, when you accept Christ, you are covered in the blood of Jesus. So you are made new in his eyes. Like the Lord has forgiven you of your sins. You are now a new creation. You are seen as righteous, even though we struggle with sin. God sees us as righteous, right? And so we need to, I think, yes, it's important 100% to know that this is a process and like you're still going to make mistakes. You know, the Bible talks about if you say you have no sin, then you are a liar, right? So like we all struggle with sin, but Jesus he he sees our sin, but he calls us by our name, right? So he sees us and he sees us as as righteous people because of what his son, what Jesus did for us on the cross, right? So I think it's important that we also stand in that, you know, authority, knowing that, okay, I have been created new. The old is gone. Now I can stand in this freedom of being righteous now. Even though it's a process of sanctification, becoming more and more like him. But just knowing that, I think it also helps you to know that I'm not bound to these things anymore that I was bound to, because of the strength that Christ gives me, um, and that he defeated death and sin on the cross. I think um, just like you said, man, like um, staying in your word, prayer, asking God to align your heart with his, like to make, you know, his desires your desires.
Community.
Community is huge. Like all those different things um, shape you into the person that you would want to be, that Christ wants you to be. Um, and it's a race, like Paul talks about it in Romans, talks about how, you know, he hasn't considered himself to hold on to it yet, but he pursues the path that Christ Jesus has for him. And I think that's for all of us as believers. Like we're not there yet. We haven't arrived, but we're going to push and we're going to forget what's behind and we're going to push ahead towards the goal that Christ Jesus has set for us.
And I think too, like before you read those other verses, just because it really paints the picture, I think like another thing to understand too is that the world's going to judge you for it. Once you accept Christ in your life, it's going to get harder before it gets easier too, because there's always a season of testing. There's always going to be a season. It's okay, you accept Christ in your life. Well, let's see if you actually want to put your feet to your faith. You know, like there's going to be a hard season where you'll be presented with all the things that you used to cave into or used to give into the world. Um, and that testing season will 100% come, and a lot of people who first accept Christ in their lives will struggle a little bit just because it is so hard, and the enemy doesn't want he doesn't want us to accept Christ into our life. So you're going to be kind of faced with this adversity before then all the glory comes and the feeling comes of truly having, like, seeing the transformation that God has made in your life too. And you'll have people out there who will be like, how can you say that you're a Christian when you've done this in your life? You know, like that's like the prime example. Because, like, for example, I've done things in my life that I'm not proud of at all. I've hurt people. I've made mistakes. I've done different situations in my past that are not exemplary of what a follower of Jesus would do. But that was past Quinn. That was someone that wasn't in his word. That was someone that wasn't hadn't fully transformed from Christ's love yet. And like that's what you got to understand too, is we're not perfect people. Like Zach said, if you say you've never sinned, you're a liar. Like we've all sinned in some capacity, and we're not perfect people. We're all making mistakes, but we're all in this endless effort to try to become more like Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Read those three just because I think they're great, and I think they paint their picture pretty well.
So, okay, this one's about transformation. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, perfect, pleasing will. Colossians 3:9-10. You have taken off your old self with its practices and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge in the image of its creator. 2 Corinthians 3:18. And we all are being transformed into his image with ever increasing glory, which comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit.
Yeah. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
I have a ton of questions, but I feel like it could almost make for a separate Splash Disciple segment. So,
shoot, you could ask
away.
So I guess is the first step, because I'm coming at it from I went to Sunday school, but then when I got old enough, we never really started going to church. But it's kind of, especially since we've been talking lately, it's very interesting and appealing. Is the first step, the way I kind of want to phrase it can you be God following without being religious? I think you guys have talked a bit about that. And that also kind of goes in is the first step always accepting Christ, or is there you can make the changes and then once you accept him, maybe that period's a little it doesn't take as long to feel like what you were explaining? I don't know if I'm making much sense.
He's really good at answering this, so I'm going to let him answer it. But before he does, I just want to say there's a difference between religion and following Jesus. Because religion is kind of just like a key token term now that a lot of people have used to kind of do things, right? Like technically we are Christians and we go to a Christian church. There's a lot of different denominations, right? There's also Judaism, there's Catholicism, there's Muslim, a bunch of different religions. But we follow Jesus. Technically that makes us a Christian, but I have a hard time saying that I'm religious. I just do. It's part of my thing. I struggle with it just because in history, so many people have used the name of religion to do really bad things and then do it on behalf of religion. But they'll never say they do it on behalf of Jesus because that's not what Jesus wanted. So I think to answer your question, yes. I think you should go to church. I think you should try to learn about the Bible and learn about Jesus. And because the Bible is literally just a dictate, literally just a rule, not a rule book, but kind of like a how-to manual on how to live your life. And you get to do that by witnessing and seeing what Jesus did, how he talked to others, what he ate, what he drank, how he used to carry his daily life, how he faced adversity, and then also just how God spoke through others. And it's kind of just okay, every single area of your life, you can learn on how to approach things. And once you apply those concepts to your life, then you'll see the transformation, be like, okay, this is what it means to be a follower of Jesus, not a Christian, not a Catholic, not a whatever. This is what it means to be a follower of Jesus. Now I let Zach answer.
Well, I just think that, it has everything to do with the relationship that you have with Jesus and knowing God and God knowing all of you because you are so open with him and you know him. Knowing him is going to be, it goes hand in hand with him knowing you. And so I think that when you talk about religion versus relationship is kind of your question, right? Relationship is the whole thing. So religion, there's a bunch of traditional things. There's a bunch of in Catholicism, there's all the sacraments and all these different things.
You got to say these words.
Yeah. So I truly believe that, not to say that sacraments aren't important and, can bring you closer to Jesus, because I think they totally can, taking the body and blood of Christ at, communion at church. I think that's an extremely important thing. And I think it gives you the presence of God right there. I think it's super important. But I think it's you have to be careful when you were talking about, do I try to change all these things and then come to the relationship, right? I think the most important part is to understand that you can only do so much out of your own strength. There's so many things that I've tried to do on my own, and I end up failing every single time. And the goal I believe as Christians is not to be better people, it's to know Christ deeper. And when you know Christ deeper, then your heart starts to become transformed. Then you do become a better person because you know him and he is living through you. So I think allowing yourself to die to yourself and accept Christ. Yes, I believe accepting Christ as your Lord and Savior and believing in your heart that he died on the cross for your sins. I believe that is the first step you should take. And then allow him to transform you, allow him to live through you so that you're not doing things out of your own strength, because it talks about, you know, boasting in the Bible, like talks about, oh, I did this. I like, now look at me, look how good I am, instead of look what Christ did through me. Like, look how good he is. You know what I'm saying? I think that is, that's how I'd answer your question.
2 points. One, do you have a friend or a parent or somebody that when you're around them, you're a better person? So like for me, that's Zach. When I'm around Zach, I'm a better person, and great because he's my roommate. But that's just one small example, because when I'm around Jesus, which is all the time, I'm a better person. So I think think about it like that. Like, there's always friends out there. Like there's a bad crowd. Like if I'm around you are a product of your environment, right? Like if you choose to be around bad people, then they'll naturally convince you to do some things that aren't character of you. Well, if you're around Jesus all the time, you're going to be a better person. He's going to transform you in one way or another, right? And that's without you trying. Because I think like when you try to be perfect because you think you need to be perfect when you go to Jesus, Jesus meets you where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't need to be perfect to show up in front of Jesus. Jesus is going to show up in front of you, and he's going to meet you where you're at. He's going to love you. He's going to be your best friend. He's going to be your father, and he's going to be all in one. And he's going to be like, look, I love you exactly where you're at. Yes. And just by being around me more and being like in me more and understanding, like you will transform on your own. And I think that Kevin Durant quote is more real than we even really think. Like Zach said, that every single time he tried to do something in his own strength, he always failed. The key word there is try. The key to success is not really trying. It's just being obedient and giving it to God. Surrender. And being like, look, man, like God, I'm struggling with swearing. How can I every time I try, like I always just end up failing. Can you just help me take this away? And I'll sit back and I promise, and I'll leave it to you. Well, then in just my daily life and just however I go, I catch myself in these random times where before I would never have caught myself. And it's because it's the Holy Spirit speaking through me and giving me subtle reminders and convictions. And it's just like, okay, Quinn, you probably don't need to say that word there,
Yeah. And I think we talked about it like a couple of weeks ago too, when he was like, just coming as you are, like not trying to fix anything before, like the shower example where, you don't get clean, get in the shower. You get in the shower to get clean. You come to Jesus and he will clean you up. Right. So I think, yeah.
All right. Awesome. I have some thinking to do, but thank you guys. Seriously.
Thank you,
this is awesome. Looking like I say it every time, but this has become my favorite part of this podcast, and I always leave feeling much better than I come in here. So
good.
On that note, wait, what was that?
Me too.
Oh, no, it's awesome. Like the thing you said about like a friend that you just feel like you're a better person when you're around them. Yeah. We're not like around each other a ton, but I do feel that way. Like when you guys come over to record, even like it. Good. So I guess anything you want to close on before I let you get out of here?
Let's get 7 years in a row for Adrian. Let's do it. Come on, baby.
Top-notch plumbing, baby.
Come on.
All right, but as always, like, subscribe, review, tell your girlfriends. We're slacking in the girlfriend market to like, subscribe, and review.
Come on,
girlfriend, wives. I should know that word. I shouldn't be in the married one here. Lock in. Coming to you. We should be back on our week by week schedule. Hopefully, yes, a couple weeks here in a row at home has made that a little bit easier. Yeah, we'll make sure we talk about that next week because I wanted to bring it up today, but. And if you don't like what we're doing, Ben's DMs are always open. He's always getting feisty on Twitter. That's at Bear Claw Media.
Tony B.
Have a good one.
See ya.